What happened is that in February 2023, we were alerted to a news story that had broken out concerning the issue of power blue lights. We caused an investigation into the matter. Our internal affairs conducted an investigation. The investigation indeed revealed that there was some malfeasance that had happened. That malfeasance was orchestrated through an alleged donation that Cat Matlala's company, Cat's VIP Services, had made to the municipality. Now, that donation actually had not actually transpired. There was no handover of the vehicles to the municipality. There was never a process where indeed these vehicles became part of the asset register of the municipality. But what happened is, all of a sudden, we had a concocted donation letter, which was used as a basis upon which these vehicles were registered under the municipality. The investigation then proved that that did not happen. There was no handover of the vehicles. There was no actual donation. But the vehicles were registered under the municipality. But when we continued the investigation, the vehicles were then re-registered back into Cat Matlala's company. So then we took a decision that we suspended the then Director Specialized Services, Mr. Julius Mkhwanazi, and then we conducted the investigation. We then took a decision, appointed a law firm to prosecute him. Charges were drafted, and then when we were supposed to serve the charges, we were blocked from serving the charges.
Just quickly before we move on from this, how many cars were registered and the make of cars as well?
There were 4 cars that were registered. There was a BMW X5, there was a Mercedes-Benz C-Class, and another BMW 3 Series, and a VW Golf GTI.
And all these cars belong to Cat Matlala's company?
They belonged to Cat Security Services.
Okay. So let's speak about the criminal prosecution, the referrals. Investigation is concluded. You refer the criminal referrals to a law enforcement agency. Who was that law enforcement agency that was meant to investigate? Okay.
What happens whenever we've got an investigation that must be conducted that involves a Metro Police official, we have a dual process. There's an internal affairs investigation, but there's also an IPID investigation. So IPID was conducting several investigations, for that matter, into the activities of Mr. Julius Matlala, Julius Mkhwanazi, but these vehicles were also part of that investigation by IPID. And indeed, IPID concluded the investigation.
What was the outcome?
The outcome was that IPID found that there was a wrongful behavior. There was acts that required the municipality to take action, whilst IPID would also conduct its own processes in terms of the NPA.
Now, you have this report from IPID, you have an internal investigation within the municipality. Let's speak about the alleged interference. You say you were blocked. Unpack it for us.
What happened is, when the lawyers submitted the charge sheet to me, I caused my manager, one of my officials who actually deals with the processes of serving charges on employees. I mean, this is a normal process for us. So this official then contacted the Mr. Mkhwanazi, Julius Mkhwanazi, who then contacted the city manager, Dr. Imogen Mashazi, and then an instruction was issued to HR, the head of department, Linda Klashega, to stop the serving of the charges. So in essence, Mkhwanazi then was never charged. We had a charge sheet, we still have the charge sheet, but the powers that be said no. We are not going to proceed.
And what about the then mayor, the council? Did they try to do something to ensure that they implement this report?
No. There was nothing that was done to implement the report. The report was never escalated. The internal report was never escalated to that level. I'm aware that the IPID report was then served on the mayor.
Who was the mayor then?
The mayor that was given the report was Ngondwane. The one that Sivuyile Ngondwane. He was given the report, and then the report was then given to the legal department of the municipality, who wrote a very, very funny letter to IPID in an attempt to cover up this process.
Would you describe this as capture of the municipality as well?
It would be. It would be. I mean, you have a straightforward process here. A person has taken a decision to register vehicles that do not belong to the municipality under the municipality's name. So if those vehicles get involved in any criminality, including traffic violations, those traffic violations will be then subjected to the municipality. Instead of this person being tracked, you'd be like, no, this is a council vehicle, and therefore it would end there, instead of the person actually facing the consequences of breaking the law, But also, most importantly, blue lights. Blue lights, are a very serious matter. You can't have a civilian that is driving around in blue lights. That means that they can stop me at night. And all sorts of things can happen to civilians.
And I know that you said this investigation was conducted. IPID also concluded the investigation. But why only now? Where have you been with these reports? Did you push harder to ensure that there's accountability?
Well, I couldn't myself. The charges were served late June 2023. We pushed that indeed. The process must go forward. I know that I wrote a letter to the municipal manager. In my letter, one of the issues that I raised was the fact that we have a situation where we had appointed a labor law expert, who took a view that indeed there was substance, there was a prima facie case that Mkhwanazi had to answer. But that was second guessed, by the legal department, internal legal department, who were not labor law experts. Advocate Kemi Behari was like, no, there is no substance to these things, and therefore we're not going to proceed. And it was like, but well, if the city manager says they're not going to proceed with the matter, as an official, I have to listen to the chief accounting officer.
Were the witnesses intimidated?
You can say that because quite a number of people who were involved with the investigation, have been removed. I was removed. All sorts of stories were cocked up about me.
On what basis?
Well, there was an allegation that I did not have qualifications.
You have qualifications?
I do have qualifications.
Where are they?
I've got them here. I've got my qualifications, I've got my matric, I've got my BE Juris, I've got my advanced labor law certificate from UNISA.
So did you challenge this when that came about?
I'm in a process as we speak. Well, that process has been ongoing since 2023. The municipality has delayed the arbitrations that have taken place, both for my suspension and my dismissal. They've used about 9 law firms in trying to deal with me.
Just lastly, I need to wrap. The Commission of Inquiry, if summoned or subpoenaed, would you go and reveal all of this?
Of course. I've got everything. Fortunately enough, I was able to trace, the documentation. If indeed one is subpoenaed by the Commission, one would be more than ready to go and testify at the Commission and reveal exactly what happened.
Thank you very much for your time and all the best.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that's Tonelli Mizade speaking to us, Bradan, and just revealing really what happened at the time when the attempted murder accused Vusimusi Cat Matlala had the privilege of having his 4 luxury cars being fitted with blue lights, registered within the systems of the municipality, and of course at the disposal of the municipality's funds as well. That also was part and parcel of Mkhwanazi's testimony at the Commission of Inquiry last week. And the gentleman that we're speaking to says if called to the Commission, he will go there and unpack and detail really what happened. We've seen some of the documents. He's given us some of the documents, and it's a story that's developing, Bradan.